And we're live. Okay, so this is our practice dress rehearsal of Stop the Presses season 2.0, and I have two questions for the fabulous guests. My name is Felicia Perez with the Center for Story-Based Strategy, the Creative Projects Associate. I'd actually like to take a moment and let the rest of the panelists sort of introduce themselves, and we'll start in alphabetical order. So hopefully you know what that means.
I think that means I go first.
Yes.
Hi, hey everyone. I'm Angela Peoples with Getty Cool.
And I think I go next. And thank you, everybody, for joining in. Thank you, Felicia, for introducing us. I am Paku Her, and I'm the campaign director at 18millionrising.org.
And ending the stream of amazing ladies, I'm Tracy Van Slyke. I'm director of the Culture Lab at the Citizen Engagement Lab.
Fantastic. So this is the foursome, and the first question for you, and it's not like the gut reaction first question, so it's not the first thing that comes to mind. You can take a moment to think about this. Is what TV character, current, television, or past, do you identify with the most? And if you want, why? But if not, just go ahead and say who that TV character is. So for me, I'm a mix of two, and the first one is Phil Dunphy from Modern Family, and the second person that I identify with from television is also it's a strange one, but Rudy Huxtable. So Rudy Huxtable meets Phil Dunphy, and somehow you get this. So how about we go in reverse alphabetical? Tracy, what do you think?
I want to be as cool as Lorelai Gilmore from Gilmore Girls. Kick ass as much as Buffy from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And right now, I want to be as like caustically funny, on point, badass as Amy Schumer from Inside Amy Schumer on Comedy Central.
Nice, nice. We're going to jump to Angela.
So, hearing all of I'm having trouble. I'm trying to think like, okay, what are all of the shows that that are characters that I love and that I sort of identify with? And my sort of first thought was, oh my God, her name totally just went out of my mind. Lena, thank you, Lena from Lena Foster Adams from The Fosters, and mostly because she plays this, like, she's very like a sort of highly emotional character, but she's also plays like the kind of mediator, moderator, go-between, sort of rational voice in her family, and I think I do a lot of that in my like work and personal life. And then I was thinking when you said Rudy Huxtable, Felicia, I thought about Olivia, because Denise and God, I can't remember her husband's name, but their daughter that was played by Raven-Symoné. When I was younger, I was obsessed with her, and she was me. I was definitely that little girl, and it led me to like dancing to Raven-Symoné songs. Raven-Symoné was a rapper when she was like 8 years old. Oh yeah.
Wow.
You have to look it up. It's pretty amazing.
Thanks. And then Paku.
So there are two characters on TV that I always felt I really identified with. The first is a very literal interpretation of, in many ways of my life, is Margaret Kim, who was Margaret Cho's character on All American Girl, which, the show was not super, but it was really a meaningful thing to see on TV, and to see this Asian American family that totally was not like this refugee family like mine, but there were so many parallels that it was hard to not see myself in Margaret Kim. And then the other character is Angela, Claire Danes' character from My So-Called Life, where I was like, oh, if I could just be as cool as her, if I could be as angsty as her, if I could be as like into like teen boy bands, like the high school rock and roll band as her, and like all of that stuff. I watched that show religiously, and it was a really important part of my growing up.
All right, before I ask the next question, I just want to say that I already liked the three of you, but I think I just fell in love with the three of you right now. Oh my God, those are the best answers ever. Okay, so wait for this one, because this one's going to grab you. What TV character do you wish was real and possibly your neighbor? So if you could have a TV character be real and be your neighbor, who would it be? And here's the problem. When I made up this question, the first thing that came to mind was like, the ultimate neighbor, Mr. Rogers. And then I was like, oh, hell no. That guy has people all the time over at his house. He's constantly talking to himself all loud. Is going to be the loud yippy neighbor who's like, oh, yeah, mailman, come on in. My mail's going to be late. My mail's going to be like off. Everything's going to be off, and then if I step outside, are things like moving really slow, like in the Mr. Rogers thing? Like so while I initially was like, I want the sweater man, I don't think that that's actually ultimately what I'm going to pick. So instead, who I would want as my neighbor, just because I think that like they potentially would be, you know, at least interesting neighbors to like check out, is and I don't know. I like the drama. I'm a peeper. I do like to look outside and see what happens. I would want Nurse Jackie to be my neighbor because there's just like high drama happening over there all the time, but not like not loud, noisy drama. Just like what's happening over there now drama. So that's what I got. I don't know what all of that says about me, but let's start with Paku.
So I feel like suddenly drawn to 80s shows that shaped my life as a young person for neighbors. I would love to live next to Jack Tripper and Three's Company's folks, right? And like, who wouldn't want Mr. Furley around? I would be like arguing with him all the time, right?
Plus, they had a bar downstairs.
Yeah, they had a bar downstairs, and like you know, like this trio of people living together would be fascinating to watch. And then the other 80s show that I thought would be really, really great was like to live by the Drummonds, right? Different Strokes. Like it would be so fascinating to live next to these folks and to like be seeing their life. I mean, it means that I would have to be Richie McRicherson to live next to them, or they would have to be poor refugee Refugerson or whatever that is to be by me. But it would be fascinating to see this like super rich white family with these two black boys, right? Like, so yeah. So clearly, my penchant for 80s television is emerging, much to my surprise. But I think those would be fascinating neighbors.
All right, Tracy.
I think there's two people. One, I would like to live next door to Cookie from Empire because we would take over the block club together like really fast. And then I think I'd also, on the other side of me, like to live next door to Leslie Knope from Parks and Rec because, like, we would have another, like, there would be, like, the trifecta of then not only taking over the block, but the city would be, like, pretty insane. So and we would, like, trash talk and, like, have really good planning and, like, just, like, fierceness all around. It would be great. I think the three trifecta of women.
Forget TV. I just want to be your neighbor now. My God. Angela, what do you got for us?
I'm like so embarrassed to say this right now, but I'm going to anyway. So do you all remember the show Charmed?
Yes.
Go on.
So I would want Leo from Charmed, the white letter, to be my neighbor. Because he's a doctor, former doctor. He's an angel. He can orb, take you places really quickly. Say like you're running late to work, there's a traffic jam, he'll orb you to work. And he's not like the drama. He's not like deep into the family drama, but he like knows enough that, you know, like I like a little magic here and there. You know, you can get some action. I think it sounds like fun. And then on the other side, I would want Jeffrey, the butler from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, because he's always cooking like a really good meal, and he's like super sassy and hilarious. And I feel like he would like have all of the gossip and all of the tea from like all of the neighbors.
Can I just say that my son's name is Leo, and I had many friends make fun of me because they're like, you named him Leo from Charmed, right? Because they may have known that I watched that show occasionally. It's not the reason, but people made that connection.
Nice, nice. So now I would really like to open the floor. Yeah, sorry.
Oh, I was going to say, this is also making me really excited about Neighbors, because then that also makes me think about wanting to live next to Sandra from 227, Jack Hay, who plays Sandra.
Oh, my God.
Because then it's like, then I would know everything that was happening in the neighborhood. And I would just sit on the front porch and talk to Sandra from 227. So I'm sorry, but I just had to interject because I couldn't hold that one in. Too exciting.
I just think the neighborhood that we have just created is really like kind of inspirational. Like, I don't know that we're all living in their neighborhoods or if they're living in ours, but that whole like that's a block party. That's a block party that I want to be at. That's all I want to say. So I want to open it up to like anyone else who has like a question that you would like to ask us or is a follow-up to one of these two questions. Anyone?
So I'm thinking about like Neighbors, like what house would you want to live in, right? So there's like the Full House is pretty famous, like even like the not the 227 house, the Different Strokes house I was thinking about like is huge and amazing. Like which home would you like to have a TV house?
This is a great question. I used to dream about living in the Silver Spoons house because they had, like, it was so fancy. But then I will totally admit, I got the Silver Spoons house often confused with the Benson house. And I don't know why, because they weren't the same. Maybe it was just, like, same era of television. Again, the 80s in me is emerging, which also tells you how much television I watched as a child. But I used to dream. Maybe it was also because Ricky Schroeder lived in the house, and I was like, oh my God, I could live with Ricky Schroeder in his house. But I did dream at length about living in the Silver Spoons house.
That's a crazy question. Mostly, I don't have my answer yet, but I just think it's a crazy question because one of the houses that I feel like is a character in the story is like the Modern Family house. How, like, because I was just thinking I don't want a two-story house, and the reason why I don't want a two-story house is like the Dumfies, right? Like when Phil or any of them are going up the stairs, there's that one step that's always like broken, and there's this constant repeated line about like how we don't do home repair and whatever. So like there's a lot of times where the house itself is like a character in the show, but I don't know yet. You're gonna have to come back to me. I'm still thinking.
Okay, this is not the house I want, but the feel of the house. And like, don't laugh. Is like, it's kind of like Modern Family, but also like the Friends sort of setting the apartment. I do not want that apartment. I don't want all those people. But the fact that everyone was always together, like hanging out, like there was a community, like that was important. So I like the feel of that, but not the people necessarily.
I think for me, I'm going to keep with my Fresh Prince of Bel-Air theme, and like I love the idea of the pool house. Like growing up in Michigan, pools were like not easy to come by generally, and then like pools that were big enough to have a pool house, I was like, that would be so cool just to live, like still be close to my parents, but like not have to live in their house. I have my own space. I love the idea of like a pool house.
Well, Angela, this is such an interesting question because it's really making me stop and think about, like, part of why I grew up and has left such a long-standing fingerprint on my life about wanting to live in the Silver Spoons house is because I grew up really poor. And so I could watch rich-ass people on TV and be like, oh, what if that was me? Because it's interesting, I sit now and I think, really, the house in Roseanne, while it was, like, working-class white family, was a lot more like my house. Like, furnishings were not fancy. We wore clothes from Goodwill. We had mismatched Corningware dishes that we got from Goodwill. Like, but that's not what I ever imagined. Like, because that house actually felt more like the home I grew up in. With like the aunts there all the time. Although I mean, like we had lots of family members there. But part of TV for me was like pretending I wasn't poor. So we could watch Dynasty, and we could watch Silver Spoons, and even watching things like Facts of Life, like where the kids were like, I never thought of myself as like poor like Joe on Facts of Life, but it is just a very fascinating question to sort of stop and say, why did I want the Silver Spoons house? Because I really didn't want to be poor.
I love you, Paku. I love you. Um, and I know I mentioned this guy before that I didn't want him as my neighbor, but I actually think I want his house. Like, I want Mr. Rogers' house. He has a fish. There's already food there, and the little trolley that can go to a completely different land. Like, I don't know. And the fact that the mailman would have like a whole conversation with you and tell you like not only what was in the package, but like, let you look at a little screen where you can see the factory where this like whole package and item came from. Like, I think I want to live in Mr. Rogers' house, although I gotta say it seems very cold. It seems like a very cold place because as soon as he leaves, like, other than the fish and the trolley, like, no one else is ever there. But the idea of living someplace where, like, in your home you can actually escape and go other places in your own home, just to kind of go to the depth that Paku took us at. Like, I think that's like that might be why like I'm so obsessed with like Mr. Rogers' house, is that like you don't actually have to be there when you're there. But that's just way too much about my family life, and I'll just stop there for a moment.
Crazy trippy like Pee-wee's Playhouse, but like cozy.
Yeah, no, that place is too crazy.
Yeah, too trippy. Yeah. Okay.
Any other questions before we wrap this up? Okay, beautiful wrap, and I think I'm going to say the magical words. We're done, Bernice. You can close us out.
Wait, can I get you to record one more?
Yes, we only hear you as a voice like Oz.
Oh, hello. I would like to test if everybody can take them off of mute. And then, Felicia, I'd like for you to ask one more question, and then for all of you to come in as kind of like a group conversation. So instead of folks
to
go one by one and calling on each person one at a time, let's just kind of have this be like a casual, like just shoot the shit, like do whatever you want, like just like have it be a fun kind of thing. I want to test it to see if that works on the viewer's end.
Okay, so one more random off-the-cuff question. Okay, I'm hoping that all of you at some point watched dance shows. So which dance show would you think that someone might be able to spot you on? Soul Train, American Bandstand, or what was that one with MTV with what was it called, The Grind?
Yes. Oh my God.
So would you be on The Grind, American Bandstand, or Soul Train? And it could be more than one.
Okay, I think this depends on the period in your life, because in high school it probably was The Grind. I almost got kicked out of a high school dance for explicit dancing. Now I'd probably be corny enough that it was American Bandstand. So different phases.
That's really funny. Yeah, I think it's different phases of your life, and also in your own mind's eye, right? Like in my mind's eye, I think my that I might imagine myself on The Grind, or one that you didn't mention, which is America's Best Dance Crew, because I always believe that I can, but I can't. In my mind, I can, but I cannot in reality. But I think I'm more likely to probably be on Soul Train. That's probably where you'd find me.
That's all I have ever wanted from my life, is to be on Soul Train. I mean, I can remember, like, I have such a clear memory of, like, Saturday morning. I have two older sisters, and it was, like, Saturday morning was when we all had to get our hair done for the week. And so we're, like, getting our hair done, eating chicken for lunch and from KFC, and watching Soul Train, and, like, really trying to, like, bust it out and, like, practice the dances. And then they got rid of the Soul Train line, and I was like, well, then what's the point of this show? And it's just the show's supposed to be the line, right? Like, I don't. When you
mistake.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that right now you tried to like show us a move. Even that was genius. Okay, I was so not prepared to answer this question myself. So thank you for not making me have to be the model of this first, so I could go last. to be honest, 2 of my cousins were regulars on American Bandstand, so we would get up in the morning and go watch them. I think that now they would never be on American Bandstand. And the Soul Train, okay, let me come back to the Soul Train. So the grind, I know that there's not, like, I'm that person in the line at the club. This is my club outfit, just so you know, like the t-shirt and the sweatshirt. So they would never even let me in anywhere near the grind. Like, that was just not going to happen. I love that you brought in American Dance Crew, because I feel like that's the place for, like, the outliers, right? For, like, the people who couldn't get in those other ones, so they have to organize a group, whereas a group, you're better than just you by yourself. So maybe I could be on America's Dance Crew, but as, like, the technical person who helps with the, like, dancing, because I think if I were on the Soul Train, like, I'm the one who's like, whoa! Like, that's who I am. Like, I literally once had to call in sick to work one day because I had hurt myself at a wedding. I was doing that, like, knee to elbow thing, and I pulled my muscle. Or the tendon. I couldn't sit up. I couldn't do anything. It was horrible. So,
you are not the first person to have that happen to you.
Yeah. It's an occupational hazard.
Totally.
It is. But, like, I never saw that. I never saw the person on any of those shows who was like, Like, so if that existed, I think it would only exist in Soul Train.
So there's a video of Rosie Perez that's, like, on Soul Train that's, you know, like, circulating on Facebook a lot now. And I just remember thinking, like, seeing this video brought so many memories back for me. And I remember thinking, like, how do they choose who gets to be in the Soul Train line? And how could I be one of the people that they choose? And I remember being like, those people can't dance. They look ridiculous. And I could dance better than them.
That is
so maybe it could be on the Soul Train line.
But that
I'm
is
just
so
saying.
It makes me think about, I had the same questions. Remember the Fly Girls on In Living Color?
Yes.
I used to watch In Living Color, and I would be in the basement of our house watching In Living Color and trying to be Jennifer Lopez. And I was like, can I shake my boobs the same way? Can I look at my booty the same way? And I was like, and it was all, right, and it would be so exciting. And then they would freeze, and then out would come one of the Wayans brothers, right? It was everything. The dance sequences, which were only like a minute and a half, maybe at most, were everything for the show.
But I would like to take my dance moves into a pool and, like, think that I could, like, top everyone by, like, water dancing. So,
wow.
I haven't had the synchronized swimming TV show yet.
Yeah. Just that synchronized swimming sketch from Saturday Night Live from Forever Ago, which is really
so funny.
All right. Thank you. B, did you get what you think you wanted? B?